It's me again, Scott. I'm about to do another book reading. And it's a random chapter from another book. And the chapter I picked out is going to be The Wrath of God from the V.C. Andrews book, Flowers in the Attic. Yay! The Wrath of God. Excuse me. Mama came into our room this first night, tight-limbed and stiff-jointed, as if every movement she made hurt. Her lovely face was pale and bloated, her swollen eyes red-rimmed. At the age of 33, someone had humiliated her so much she couldn't squarely meet a pair of our eyes. Looking defeated, forlorn, humbled, she stood in the center of the room like a child brutally chastised. Thoughtlessly, the twins ran to greet her. They threw enthusiastic arms around her legs, laughing and crying out in happy voices, "Mama, Mama, where have you been?" Chris and I ambled over to tentatively hug her. One might have thought she had been gone a decade of Sundays, and not just one Wednesday. But she represented our hope, our reality, our line to the world outside. Did we kiss her too much? Did our eager, hungry, clinging embraces make her wince from pain, or from the obligations? While fat and slow tears slid silently down her pale cheeks, I thought she cried only for the pity she felt for us. When we sat, all wanted to be as close to her as possible. It was on one of the big beds. She lifted both twins to her lap so Chris and I could cuddle close on either side. She looked us over and complimented our glowing cleanliness, and smiled because I had tied a green ribbon in Carrie's hair to match the green stripes on her dress. She spoke, her voice hoarse, as if she had a cold, or that fabled frog had lodged in her throat. Now tell me honestly, how did it go for you today?" Resentfully, Corey's plump face pouted, mutely saying his day had not gone well at all. Carrie put her unspoken umbrage into words. "Kathy and Chris are mean!" she screamed, and it was no sweet bird twitter. "They made us stay inside all day. We don't like inside. We don't like that big dirty place they told us was nice. Mama, it's not nice." Troubled and pain-looking, Mama tried to soothe Carrie, telling the twins that circumstances had changed, and now they had to remind their older brother and sister, and think of them as parents to obey. "No, no!" shrilled an even more irate bundle of red-faced fury. "We hate it here! We want the garden! It's dark here! We don't want Chris and Kathy! Mama, we want you! Take us home! Take us out of here!" Carrie hit at Mama, at me, at Chris, yelling how much she wanted her home, as Mama sat there not defending herself, apparently unhearing and not knowing how to handle a situation in which a 5-year-old ruled. The more unhearing Mama became, the louder Carrie screamed. I covered my ears. "Corey!" commanded the grandmother. "You stop that child from screaming this very second!" I knew just looking at her stone-cold face that she would know exactly how to shut Carrie up at once. However, sitting on Mama's other knee was a little boy whose eyes grew wide as he stared up at the tall grandmother, someone who threatened his twin sister, who had jumped down from Mama's lap and was now standing in front of the grandmother. Planting her small feet wide apart, Carrie threw back her head, opened up her rosebud mouth, and she really let go. Like an opera star who saved her best for the grand aria finale, her former cry seemed like weak mewings from a small kitten. Now he had a tigress enraged. Oh boy, was I impressed, awed, and terrified of what would happen next. The grandmother seized hold of Carrie by the hair, lifted her up high enough to make Corey jump from Mama's lap. Quick as a cat, he pounced on the grandmother. Faster than I could wink, he ran to bite her leg. I cringed aside, knowing now we were all in for it. She gazed down at him, then shook him off, as one does a small, annoying lapdog. But the bite did make her release Carrie's hair. Down she dropped to the floor to quickly scamper to her feet and take a quick swipe, just missing the grandmother's leg with her foot. Not to be outdone by his twin sister, Corey raised his small white shoe, took careful aim, then kicked the grandmother's leg as hard as he could manage. In the meanwhile, Carrie had scuttled over to the corner where she crouched down and wailed like an Irish banshee set on fire. Oh, indeed, it was a scene worthy of remembering and recording. So far, Corey hadn't said a word or uttered one cry, as was his silent and resolute way. But no one was going to hurt his twin sister, even if that no one stood close to 6 feet and weighed in at close to 200 pounds, and Corey was very small for his age. If Corey didn't like what was happening to Carrie, or the potential threat to himself, the grandmother didn't like what was happening to her either. She glared down at his small, defiant, angry face, which was tilted up to hers. She waited for him to cower, to take the scowl from his face and the defiance from his blue eyes, but he stood determinedly before her, daring to challenge her to do her worst. Her thin, colorless lips tightened into a fine, crooked pencil line. Up came her hand, a huge, heavy hand, flashing with diamond rings. Corey didn't flinch. His only reaction to this very obvious threat was a deeper, more fierce scowl, as his small hands knotted into fists, raised in perfectional boxer technique. Good golly day, did he think he could fight her and win? I heard Mama call Corey's name, her voice so choked it was only a whisper. Decided on her course of action now, the grandmother delivered against his round, defiant baby face a stinging slap so hard it sent him reeling. He stumbled backward and fell to the floor, but was up in a flash, spinning around to consider a fresh assault against that huge mountain of hateful flesh. His indecision then was a pitiful thing. He faltered, reconsidered, and common sense went out over anger. He scampered over to where Carrie crouched, half crawling, half running. Then flinging his arm around her, they knelt, holding onto each other. Cheek pressed to cheek, and he added his siren howls to her. Beside me, Chris mumbled something that sounded like a prayer. "Corey, they are your children. Shut them up. This instant!" However, the Buttercup twins, once started, were practically impossible to quiet. Reasoning never reached their ears. They heard only their own terror, and like mechanical toys, they had to run down from pure exhaustion. That's as far as I'm going to go. Hope y'all enjoyed it. And hopefully soon I'll have another book reading. So I've had a couple of suggestions of what to read, so I'm going to try to do those as much as I can, or whenever I can. Thank you.